Started on January 31st with a link, fom.org. A lark, a whim, a hope, a challenge. February album writing month. Write 14 songs in 28 days. That's insane. I can't do that. I only wrote 6 songs in all of last year. 3 of those were parodies. But what have I got to lose? It's a crazy scheme, but aren't those the best kind? Besides, what's the worst thing that could happen? We could end up with a couple new songs. That would be sweet. February 1st, 2013. Strong start, 2 songs, both keepers. Then it gets blurry, 14 songs, 16 days, 3 song skirmishes. That's where someone gives you a title, and you have an hour to write and record a song. A collaboration or 2. Listen and leave comments about dozens and dozens of other Falmers songs. February 16th, 2013. 14 songs. Challenge completed. What now? Play with some new recording software? Try some new songwriting tools? Start writing again with 5 days left? Write 6 more songs? Who has 2 thumbs and 20 brand new songs? This guy. What did I get? 20 songs. Energized. A stretch as a writer and as a musician. Smug. Really, really effing smug. A pass from the omnipresent blahs of February. I think I failed to mention, I am definitely not fond of winter. What did I get? A collection. A set of stories. A compilation. An album, you might say. I just call it February. That was March 1st, I wrote that. My year didn't end on March 1st. My creative year didn't end. It started on January 31st on a complete whim, by accident. I had that songwriting podcast for the sake of the song for about 7 years. I interviewed, you. Yeah. I interviewed about 150 writers over 7 years. And one guy just in my Facebook feed pops up, yeah, it's January 31st, I think I'll do February album writing month again. And so I pop over to the link and look at this online site and think, what I said in the piece, what have I got to lose? I'll write a couple songs. So I sign up for the forums. It's February album writing month, fawm.org. FAWM.org.
FAWM.
It is very important that you not get confused and go to fawm.com. I have just taken people's advice for it. You would need eye soap if you did. So,
you need what? Eye soap.
Eye soap. You don't want to go there.
FAWM is obviously an acronym. February
Album Writing Month. Now, it's a culture and a challenge that has been set up all around, and I can't even show you the site right now because they take it down for maintenance in December and January to revamp the site for next February. But it's basically a web forum. You sign up, you get your own little page where you can post songs and stuff, and people post back and forth. One of the mottos of FAWM is, what are you waiting for? Inspiration? Now, talking to a writer like you, Ed, you don't need inspiration. You've written for 30 years, but you just go out and do it. Can you write 14 songs in 28 days? Thousands of people do. I did. I couldn't believe it was. Once it started, it was so much fun. There's a lot of support. One of the things on the site that I loved the most was something called Song Skirmishes, and that's where you post. Someone says, "I'm going to take charge of this song skirmish," and they post a time in Greenwich Mean Time because people are all over the world online. We're all going to get together and we're going to write songs in an hour. And at the beginning of the hour, someone posts the title. And by the end of the hour, you're supposed to have it written, recorded, and send it back up for people to give constructive feedback. The online community is incredibly, incredibly supportive The feedback is, well, it's all writers. They're giving you real constructive feedback. It's instant. Sometimes when you're writing on your own, feedback is hard to come by, because I love my family dearly, but all my wife has ever told me in my whole life is, oh, that's great. I'm really glad you love it, dear, but it does nothing to my growth as a creative individual. She read my novel too. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. She read my novel too, and said, I really liked it. Well, I'm glad you did, because I really liked writing it. But my brother-in-law also read my novel, and he's a writer, and he gave me just like a quarter of a page of this, and this. He says, it looks like you were really hurried when you wrote it, and some of the sections prove, well, yeah, I was really hurried when I wrote it, because I'm getting to that point. My creative year didn't end. When I sat down with this pile of songs and really didn't know what I wanted to do with them, I was pretty sure what I didn't want to do with them is to spend a vacation's worth of money or a set of braces worth of money or anything else on hundreds of pieces of plastic that would sit in my basement. I didn't need at this time in my life to make a CD. And it was really liberating, actually. Because what I did do is I rehearsed them for a month and a half or so, and in early April, on a beautiful spring day, had a concert out on our lawn. And just celebrated, played the whole set. My brother-in-law is a very, very fine bass player, and he just sat beside me and made me sound like I was a rock star. And it was,
Well, you did a fair number of them at that thing at Roy's, didn't you? And,
yeah, and that was about 2 weeks after I'd finished.
yeah.
So that was the first thing, and then there's actually an offline offline relationships that form with when you get involved in one of these online communities, and there was something called Falmstock in Pennsylvania, and we rented a place like this actually in a little tiny town of 800 called Emlenton, Pennsylvania, and about 40 of us ended up at this Emlenton Town Mill in the end of July from all over North America, and it was amazing. Well, getting ready for Falmstock, there's a summer challenge called 50/90. 50 songs in 90 days. And that's 50/90, you spell the word out. I will post all these notes incidentally, but it's 50/90, FIFTYNINETY .Falmers, FAWMERS.org. The 50/90 challenge is a lot of the same bunch of people, the same premise, right? 50 songs in 90 days. I joined 50/90 to be connected with the people that I was going to meet in person in Pennsylvania. I had no intention of writing 50 songs, and in fact, kicking and screaming. So I only wrote 22 songs between July and October. How was I feeling? Smug, pretty effing smug. Again, the support's there. I have been online long enough that the online community and having that instant feedback is just gold, and it's just enough accountability. It really works for me, and it really works for others as well. And to be part of something that you see on the site, 35,000 people signed up, or 3,500, or whatever it is, and realize all these people are doing this. This is possible. Another thing that happens online with FOM is that there are a lot of people who are quite willing to do collabs. If you get stuck on something, or can somebody give me a cup of lead guitar in this piece, or a lot of the writers are pure lyric writers, and they'll just pump out lyrics. And I found that kind of writing extremely freeing, because I really consider myself a lyrics first writer. But when presented with a set of lyrics which are done, they're cooked, and someone says, set music to it, it's amazing, because I found myself writing music that I would never write, because there's phrasing and stuff that I would never write. And the songs the ones I choose to set to music are ones that obviously speak to me. And I found it really neat adjunct to the way I had written for years.
So how does that work for ownership of the song?
You've co-wrote it.
You mean collaboratively?
Yeah.
Well,
You both wrote it.
It's co-write.
Yeah.
Even if, whatever small portion, if somebody gives you, one musical phrase or one.
Yeah.
It's a co-write.
In Nashville, they have a saying, a word is a third. And it's just to get, basically, you've just got to let go of it. And we wrote it. When I'm working with people and helping, giving them feedback and stuff, and in Badass, we often will suggest a phrase or a few and nobody cares. It's a phrase. But
We can't keep track of who
Yeah.
actually did it in here.
Yeah. But when I'm collaborating with someone, and it's something I explored in my songwriting show too. If I'm giving feedback, I'm giving feedback, but we'll both know where the line is, where we've crossed from consulting or giving constructive criticism into collaborating. And for younger writers, because I've worked a lot with kids too, I'll tell them where that line is. We're getting close to the point where this is no longer constructive criticism. It's going to be collaboration, and you need to instruct me now. Do we cross that line, or do you want me to walk out of the room? Because both are fine. And so it's being really open because, music is a relationship. It always is. This is about communication. Communicating. Songwriting is about communicating. So that's part of the relationship. How do you work out that part? And so I've been just having a blast with this. And as I said, 49. My grand total in 2013, and remember I started late, January 31st, was 49 songs and a novel. Now, so there we are in late September. 5090 is winding down. My 13-year-old.
49 songs in the 5090.
No, I wrote 22 songs in 5090. I had no intention of writing.
14,
I had 20 in February. I had 22 in 5090, and the other 5 have just come from wherever over the course of the year. And it may, if I sat down and did a count, it might be a few higher or a few lower. I don't know, but it's 49 is what I counted. So in late September, when 5090 was winding down, the other thing I wanted to mention about these 2 online challenges is I love this idea of seasons of creativity. In between, incidentally, I floored my house this summer. And as a teacher, there's busy times, there's slow times, there's time off and stuff. So I love this idea of this is the season when you write. It really, really works for me very well. If someone had told me you're going to write 4 songs a month for a year, I don't know if I would have undertaken it. But a song a day for 20 days, piece of cake. And a song in an hour's pushing it for me. I can reliably write a song in 90 minutes. Having said that, our friend Scott skipped out of the sessions this morning, and he wrote 2.
Wow.
So we've got to step away from our idea of songs as our precious babies. And I know, Ed, you're way past me on this even. They're an expression, something that has to come out. But one thing about doing so much in quantity is you start to get a catch and release mentality. If one gets away on you, it got away. I'll write another one. Maybe it'll go off and have wonderful experiences without me, and it'll come back. Especially if you're posting them online. Sometimes they do come back with a story. So there I am. I'm quite creatively sated by about the 26th of September. I have had a good year. I've written 45 songs. School year starting. I'm good. Well, I've got a 13-year-old daughter. 13-year-old daughters have a superpower. She said, "Dad, all my life, You've talked about November Novel Writing Month, but you never do it. And as I said, 13-year-old daughters have a superpower. She said, if you do it, I'll do it. I was screwed. But in the meantime, I had one more wonderful creative experience that sort of came by. It was a lovely, fortuitous event. I entered a contest to become an official blogger of the Canadian National Exhibition. And actually, while we were down in Pennsylvania, I wrote this. They wanted a 250-word submission about why you should be a blogger for the CNE. And I wrote about how, you know what, I've done new media, I'm a songwriter, I'm a writer, I'm a blogger, or I do YouTube stuff. I can do this. I'll do a good job for it, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm a storyteller, and I'm going to take as many members of my family from as many generations as I can to the fair if I've got unlimited tickets, and I'm going to see it through the eyes of all these people. And that's exactly what I did. I hung out at the fair. I told my daughter when I won the contest, we're going to go to the fair until we don't ever want to go to the fair again. This is the computer they gave me with which to do the job. And it was so much fun. And so anyway, I digress. September 23rd, I'm writing a novel. I got a month to figure out how to write a novel. NaNoWriMo.org, National November Writing Month, something. NaNoWriMo.
Okay.
NaNoWriMo. I'm pretty sure it's org. There's also a Young Writers Program, ywp.nanowrimer.org for students, and that's what my daughter and my niece signed up on, and they both finished their novels. My brother-in-law, who's written 3 novels, wrote 6,000 words and abandoned it and watched Doctor Who for the month of November, and that's okay too, sometimes. He knows how to write a novel. When I set out about it, I couldn't fail this year. I couldn't not write. The challenge for NaNoWriMo is write 50,000 words in a month. That's 1,667 words a day. And it's grueling. Because the thing about the songwriting challenges is I can knock off FOM. I could finish FOM in about 5 days if I wanted. I can write 3 songs a day. Not so with NaNoWriMo. It's 1,667 words every day, and if you get a few thousand words ahead, that means you get to finish on November 25th instead of November 30th, and it's still a grueling marathon, and it's amazing. The site is full of tips and tools, and the internet is full of people who've done NaNoWriMo. About 35 or hundreds of thousands of people attempt it every year. I don't know what the number is. I'd have to look up the stats, but it's just crazy. So in October, I could not fail. I could not fail for Sean. And when I plotted my novel, I deliberately chose a story that wasn't the novel I always wanted to write. I wanted to write a novel so that I could kick the tires and write a novel that sucked. I knew I wanted to succeed. I knew I needed to cross the finish line because I needed to know if I could do it. I knew that I needed to do my best to figure out how I'd go about it because I was mentoring my daughter. So, NaNoWriMo, oh man. So I plan, I read blogs, I read the NaNoWriMo site, I get outlining software, I choose, there's a word processor called Scrivener, which is designed for writing novels and large theses and stuff out of sequence. It's amazing. I could show you guys it later. But October was planning, outlining, figuring out what I want to write. And what I wrote was a story about a little boy, 13-year-old boy, who nobody will take him to the CNE, so he storms off in a huff on his own and takes himself But what he doesn't know is he gets trapped at the CNE through time. It's a time travel story. So when he gets there, he has the best day of his life at the fair, gradually realizing that he's being transported in time 35 years back to 1978. And in fact encounters his 13-year-old father. Doesn't know it yet. One of the deep realizations in NaNoWriMo is I never wrote a novel in November. And you read blog posts about it. You will not write a novel in November. You'll write, if you're really successful, you'll write 50,000 or 80,000 or 100,000 words. And you'll have 100,000 words, which is a great big steaming pile of words that you can work with and make into a novel. So it was just, I can't tell you. I hope, well, I'm sure I am conveying. What I wanted to do here today was just to convey that this is possible and you can. And what are you waiting for? Inspiration. Father Vela asked me for years, usually when we were driving back from DIY here, will you start up a Midland Song Circle? And, too much, and I'm already a part of a creative writing community. I have started a Midland Songwriters group. We meet at the Midland Cultural Center on the third Saturday morning of the month, except for February when we will meet every Saturday. Because I want some company now. Like, you can write a song. That's the bottom line. And what I learned from several years, I haven't had a songwriters group with kids at my school for a couple of years, but from several years of working with really young kids, as young as like 10, like music's in the air. Everybody has an internal idea, and Ray's session this morning was so great for talking about the mechanics of how song is structured, and for some really great stuff. But people have an internal roadmap of what is song. Like, it's in the air, it's in the water. Usually when 10-year-olds write songs, there'll be their first song, it will be a pop song about unrequited love or love gone wrong. And they're usually pretty decent, and they have not a clue what they're writing about, but that's what they hear. You get them past those first few, and they start writing about their own lives and their own experiences, and it's gold. It's gold. But I've said for years, how do you go about teaching songwriters to songwriting to children? Well, it's really difficult. You give them a notebook, a pencil, and permission, and just stand back. And that's really that's what I've got for my session today, for my bit. I want, just let me tell you where we're going, and then we'll break into the conversation. I'm pulling a skirmish on you guys. I have 3 titles here ready, and each of us, or in groups, are going to write a song in...
Damn you!
We have an hour. And we're gonna write. Well, actually, we have an hour and a half, and we're gonna set a timer for an hour, and we're gonna. This is completely doable. Anyone who's worried about I can't do this in an hour, suck it up. You can, and I'm happy to co-write. Like, we can work in groups, we can work individually, whatever works. And but first we should. I'm going to turn off the recording so that we can have the...
Oh, thank you.
I've been talking too much.